Let's get into some things, child. We got some stuff to talk about today, honey. We got some stuff to talk about. Hit that like button if you are new here. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We have a great time over here. You meant what you said when you said it. Really be that, because I don't be understanding y'all sometimes. And when y'all know when I say y'all, you know I ain't talking about y'all. You don't talk about y'all. Basically, that all these people that got something to say have been actively involved in the political process in their world. I don't believe it. You ain't gonna convince me. I know y'all love me. What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Happy Tuesday. Well, listen. Earlier today, we were on the live talking about reality TV. And one of my faithfuls dropped down in the chat and said, "Really, B? Did you hear about that Tyler Perry lawsuit?" And I thought she was talking about a lawsuit from last week where the lady was suing Tyler Perry for copyright for the name We the People or She the People. And it was a whole different lawsuit. And of course, shout out to Tracy as always. Y'all know Tracy went and pulled the lawsuit. Wait a minute, hold on. I didn't get. Okay. So Tracy went and pulled the lawsuit. Now I know that the internet has been a buzz. Everybody has gone live to discuss it. So I appreciate those of you that are here to talk about it with me, okay? Because I know everybody done talked about it. I think there's probably 2 or 3 people live right now talking about it. And it is what it is, baby. That's what we do over here. So if you're catching this in real time or you catching a replay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Now we're about to go get into this. Not Danielle say, "Where's Christian Keys?" Well, you know. Shit, where is Tyler Perry? Okay. Baby, this was not on my bingo card. I know I always want to say Key Lolo. Key Coco Pop, baby, listen. Well, y'all know how we do over here. We about to get into this lawsuit without further ado. Now, listen, I did set a goal for this live, a super chat goal for this live. Now, y'all know when I do a super chat goal, it's usually to open up the panel. So if we hit the goal before I get off of here tonight, before I get done reading this lawsuit, if we hit the goal, I will open up the panel for about 30 minutes if you guys want to come up and tell us how you really feel. Okay? So let's get into it. But as always, y'all know you don't have to pay me nothing. Y'all don't have to give me nothing. Maybe we can read through this lawsuit and we can go about our day, okay? Because and then I can maybe upload. I won't go live again tonight, but I maybe can upload another review before I go to bed tonight. I can upload a review of something, child. Okay. Oh, let's get into it. Now, this was filed in Los Angeles, which is interesting. And y'all know, we know that y'all just want the meat and potatoes, honey. Y'all want the meat and potatoes. Y'all don't care nothing about all of that jurisdiction and all that stuff. Y'all just want the meat and potatoes. So let me put it up on the screen. Kilolo is your nickname too. I don't know why I always want to say Kilolo. That's why I usually pause. Not because I can't read, but because I'm child. Okay, let's see here. Let me share the screen so we can get into the things of the things. Where's the... Oh, shoot. I thought I had... Dang it. Yeah. I don't have my water thing over here. Y'all know I need water before I get started doing this, child. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me get my water. Sorry, y'all. Let me go get my water together because y'all know I'm gonna need to get my water straight. All right, hold on. Let me share the screen and then I'm gonna go run and get me some water real quick. Oh, not Tyler has a type. Oh my. Okay. Let me make this a little bit bigger. I know how you want to see the stuff and down. Let me get it together. Get your water. This about to be a mess. Ooh, Tracy. And y'all know I want y'all to get I want y'all to see my real response. So I've listened to a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but I have not read through this whole thing yet, and I have not listened to all of it yet because I really want my authentic response. Okay. All right, I'll be right back. Let me go get my water. And then we want to get this party started. I see it's 40-something pages long, child. And I believe we have text messages. So we're gonna get into. He has receipts now. You can choose to believe the receipts or not, but it looks like he got some receipts too, honey. All right, let's get ready to get this party started. Not Medea done a not Medea. Ooh. I've been here just on break listening. Okay, little baby, thank you, boo. Thank you, boo. All right. All right, we got our water together. Let's go. Let me make this bigger. All right. Here we go, y'all. We're just going to start reading from the facts because, y'all don't care nothing about the all that stuff. So let's read the summary of action. Plaintiff Derek Dixon files this complaint against defendant Tyler Perry, a.k.a. Emmett Perry Jr., TPS Production Services, LLC, and Action, LLC, together defendants alleging as follows. The following complaint is pled on information and belief. So instead of them saying information and belief throughout the whole thing, I guess they said we're just going to go and say it at the beginning. This series arises from a sustained pattern of workplace exua harassment, assault, and retaliation perpetrated by Tyler Perry, a powerful media mogul, against plaintiff Derek Dixon, a professional actor and screenwriter. Mr. Perry is an American actor, filmmaker, and playwright who has built one of the most successful careers in the film television industry. Mr. Perry took his success and power and used his considerable influence in the entertainment industry to create a coercive, actually exploitive dynamic, and Mr. Dixon initially promising him career advancement and creative opportunities, such as producing his pilot and casting him in his show, only to subject him to escalating actual harassment, assault and battery, and professional retaliation when Mr. Dixon did not reciprocate Mr. Perry's unwanted advances. These events occurred while Mr. Dixon was employed in a series regular on the Tyler Perry show, The Oval, and while Mr. Perry held direct control over his employment, compensation, and creative opportunities. Child, do we have to read through Tyler Perry's whole history? I guess we do. In case somebody under a rock don't know who Tyler Perry is, let's go through it. Tyler Perry rose against all odds to become one of the most powerful figures in the entertainment industry. His success story, once a symbol of perseverance and self-made achievement, has now become a cautionary tale of how unchecked power, wealth, and influence can corrupt those who attain it. Among other contracts, Perry received a lucrative multi-deal partnership with the Oprah Winfrey Network, and his net worth tops $1.36 billion with a B dollars. Tyler Perry's rise to fame and fortune elevated him from a powerless victim to a figure of tremendous wealth, influence, and power, culminating in the ownership of his own film studio. Rather than using his influence responsibly, Tyler Perry has engaged in a pattern of misconduct where he exploited his position of power. Tyler Perry has been using his power and influence to solicit, abuse, and actually assault impressionable and vulnerable employees and actors who look who looked to him for guidance and mentorship while pursuing their dreams. Now, listen, y'all know that when we talk about stuff like this, I have to be careful in the words that I use. So if I lose somebody, just skip to the allegations. Tracy said, girl, just skip. Okay, Tracy. She said, just skip it. Okay. Let me go back. Tracy said, just skip down to allegations. Let me see. Okay. Just like Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Sean P. Diddy Combs, Kevin Spacey, Roger Ailes, and many others in the industry, Mr. Perry's success has led him to believe that money and influence can get him whatever he wants. That belief slowly transformed into the false idea that Mr. Perry can get whomever he wants. I see what you did there. Okay. There are things in life that money cannot buy. Mr. Perry sought the one thing his wealth and influence could not purchase: an actual relationship with a man who would remain silent. Mr. Perry told Mr. Dixon that his ideal relationship would involve a male partner who he would provide for and who would be loyal but emotionally detached. Perry told Dixon, whoever ends up with me is going to be happy, is going to be a happy motherfucker. In essence, Mr. Perry desired a one-sided, coercive dynamic with a subordinate, an arrangement devoid of mutual consent or emotional reciprocity. Thus began Perry's calculated pursuit of Mr. Dixon. Okay. All right now. This was not Mr. Perry's first instance of exploitation. He has demonstrated a troubling pattern of exploiting vulnerable male actors and employees, leveraging his industry power to create a cycle of hope and dependency. First, he offers aspiring actors the prospect of career-defining opportunities, roles that promise visibility and advancement. Then, once they're in his professional orbit, he uses the weight of his influence to ensnare them, positioning their success as contingent on meeting his demands in a quid pro quo compromise. This pattern of behavior reveals a calculated use of professional power for sexual leverage. Okay. Using his influence, Mr. Perry provided vulnerable men with acting positions, roles, show contracts, cars, and money. Once the object of his desire was hooked, Tyler Perry would then put them in fear of losing it all unless they engaged in Mr. Perry's perverted desire for sexual gratification. Mr. Perry would easily kill off a character in a show of an actor who failed to indulge his fantasies. Oh, we got text messages. Okay. In one such exchange, Perry stated that he could fix things because the actors of a show he was filming should all be scared because they were all shot at. We don't know who lives, meaning that Tyler Perry was going to use this as a tool to gain compliance with his desires. So here's the text message. It says, but I swear to you, I know how to fix this shit. This is Tyler Perry. Okay, this is allegedly. Let me be clear. Allegedly, this is Tyler Perry talking. I love killing a motherfucker in a show that no one expects. And then this is the response from Derek. You could be sipping Mai Tais counting coconuts right now. Tyler then says, think about it. The last episode, they are all shot at. We don't know who lives. And then Derek says, exactly. I'm scared. They should be too. Tyler said, nope, they're not. Derek said, last I checked, we all got the same bullets. I'm going to just keep reading. I'm going to keep reading. Derek Dixon was Mr. Perry's sexual desire ever since they became acquainted. Dixon was working as part of an event staff for a party hosted by Mr. Perry when he noticed him. Perry immediately offered Dixon the chance to audition for a part in one of his TV productions. Dixon agreed and was on set with Perry behind the camera for weeks in close quarters. During the time they were filming, Perry would send flirtatious text messages to Dixon. For example, in one message, Perry stated that he was jealous when he saw Dixon going on a walk with another man named Brad. So again, these are the text messages. This is Tyler, allegedly. Why did that photo make me jealous? You two together. Derek said, ha ha ha. I don't know. It's just Brad, LOL. Tyler said, LOL. Then Derek said, he just wants to go for a quick walk to get his steps in. And now I'm walking to Chipotle by myself, LOL. Then Tyler allegedly said, thick Derek, get that Chipotle. Get that Chipotle. Okay. Let me keep reading. That's what it say. Did I read it wrong? Don't it say thick? Maybe. Let me make sure I saw it right, child. And put thick Derek. I mean, I don't know if he was calling him thick or if that was autocorrect. Because, sometimes autocorrect will say stuff that you did not mean to say, child. And sometimes you just go with it. You be like, fuck it. He know what I mean. So I don't know. Or maybe he was saying you thick, like you thick. I don't know. So then allegedly Tyler said, what's it going to take for you to have gutless sex? What? Guiltless. I'm sorry, I said gutless. Guiltless sex. Have y'all found that yet in therapy? What? Hold on. Let me read because I think I'm ahead of myself. Let me finish reading and then let me go back to the text message. In another text message, Perry stated to Dixon, what's it going to take for you to have guiltless sex? Have y'all found that yet in therapy? You can have freedom from religious guilt and still believe in Christ. Plaintiff carefully navigated a friendly demeanor to prevent the loss of income and opportunity on the one hand, and on the other hand, a firm boundary against Perry's advances. Often when Mr. Perry started drinking, he would demand more attention from plaintiff and get more aggressive with his flirting. So then, so allegedly Derek responded to that. It says, giving up my religious guilt, becoming a Buddhist, that's so cool. Where you came, that's where women. That's so cool where you came from. These messages don't make no sense. That's so cool where you came from. Wait a minute, hold on. Okay. I think because maybe he's talking about this Geo Metro. Because remember Tyler Perry said he lived in his car, his Geo Metro. Maybe that's what he's talking about, coming from where he's from. I don't know, child. Okay, let me just keep reading. Unfortunately, Derek, I have friends who are in their 50s and 60s who are still dealing with that, and it's so sad. You can have freedom from religious guilt and still believe in Christ. I mean, So then it says, plaintiff carefully, I just read that, child. On one occasion when Mr. Perry was drinking, he started to become extremely annoyed. When Mr. Dixon avoided him, Mr. Perry stated that one of the 600 people in his phone book, he only wanted to talk to Mr. Dixon. 600 people in his phone book. My goodness. So allegedly, these are some more messages. So this is Tyler saying, treat myself right. What are you doing? Question mark. Derek. Kind of like Byron. See how he stretched out? Derek. And then Derek responded, just talking to my sister. So then Tyler responded, I roll. Fine. Good night. I'll go through the 600 people in my phone book and be annoyed that I don't want to talk to any of them. So then Derek says, trying to get off so I can go to sleep. LOL. That doesn't sound like you creating a healthy boundary. Now, come on now, Derek. You can't say you're trying to create a healthy boundary and you telling that man you trying to masturbate before you go to sleep. Now, if you already know that somebody has a sexual interest in you, telling them that you're getting ready to masturbate before you go to sleep is not a way to keep a boundary. But let me keep reading, child. So then Tyler says, I understand, LOL. And these are all alleged. I'm reading the text messages, okay? But I'm not going to say allegedly every time I say something. Y'all just know this is all alleged. So then Derek says, apparently you're not the only one that's been drinking tonight. And then Tyler allegedly says, I just started. And then Derek says, they didn't, LOL. Well, who the fuck is they? Who is the they keep talking about? Am I crazy? Let me keep reading, child. Let me keep reading. Dixon did his best to tiptoe around Mr. Perry's sexual aggression while keeping on Mr. Perry's good side. Mr. Perry made it clear to Dixon that if he ignored him or failed to engage in the innuendos, Dixon's character would die in the next season. Indeed, Dixon's character, Dale, was shot 4 times in the chest at the end of his first season on the Oval, and Perry always held this over his head, implying that Dale would survive if Dixon kept Perry happy. Once Perry recognized the extent of control he had over Mr. Dixon, he escalated this behavior. On multiple occasions, Mr. Perry assaulted Mr. Dixon, including one instance where he forcibly pulled off his clothing, groped his buttocks, and attempted to force himself on Mr. Dixon told a drunken Perry no and attempted to remove Mr. Perry's hands, but Mr. Perry held tightly onto Dixon's wrist. Mr. Dixon was only able to escape after de-escalating the situation by abruptly changing the subject. Wait, what? The day after the assault, Mr. Perry called and texted Mr. Dixon relentlessly saying, tried you, call me, and I really need to talk to you. Please call as soon as you can. Finally, when Mr. Dixon answered Tyler Perry's call, Mr. Perry profusely apologized for the assault while blaming it on other things. Perry continued, he didn't know why he would do that. He was self-sabotaging. On the very same call when he apologized for the assault against Dixon, Perry told Dixon, and don't worry, we're going to do your show, referring to the pilot that Perry knew Mr. Dixon had desperately wanted to produce. Shortly thereafter, Mr. Dixon got a call from Perry's lawyer saying Christmas had come early and that Dixon was getting a substantial raise and the show was greenlit. Perry's attorney explicitly warned Dixon not to tell any other actor on the show about the raise because no other actors were getting one, only Dixon. Now, I'm going to say this, and I haven't read the rest of it yet, so if it is later on, then I'm going to just go on and say my bad. But why we don't see that text message? Why we don't see that text message? But maybe it's later on in the lawsuit. But let me keep reading. Perry kept telling Dixon that he was sorry for the harassment and that the harassment would not happen again. However, the harassment and assaults continued. Mr. Perry will also try to deflect the blame for the sexual assault by saying that Dixon didn't have a strong enough no. Perry told Dixon that you have to be able to say that, say no to propositions for sex and mean it and make it clear. Dixon did not know how to answer without facing retaliation, cancellation, or his production contract, or perhaps being killed off the show. So instead, Dixon made a joke out of the situation, stating, I'll only say yes to sex if it gets me an Oscar. No, you wasn't playing. You meant that. You wasn't playing. You wasn't playing, Derek. In response, Tyler Perry stated, the only one who could have gotten that Oscar for you through sex is in prison. So he's in prison. So just stick to the no unless you are really into him. Is he what? Is he talking about how he want? What? Yeah, I'm so confused. Let me read these text messages. Okay. So this is allegedly Tyler saying, nice. Santa Monica is nice. I'm glad you're going out there. How is your no? Is it stronger? You got to have a strong no. So then Derek allegedly says, yes, it's strong. My mom literally thinks I'm going to sell my soul to the Illuminati. She heard Kanye say that it was real. Tyler then says, well, I don't think that, but I do think that you have to be able to say no and mean it and make it clear. So then Derek says, I'll only say yes if it gets me an Oscar. Just joking, just joking. I mean, just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. I hear you. So then Tyler says, well, the only one who could have gotten that for you through sex is in prison. So just stick to the no unless you are really into him. I don't understand none of this. I think he's talking about Harvey Weinstein, but I don't understand. Okay. I'm going to just keep reading, y'all. I'm going to just keep reading. I figured that's what he was talking about was Harvey Weinstein, but it took me a second. Okay. Perry reveals through these text messages that the no he was referring to was Dixon's no to the sex exchange for promotion in the industry, classically known as quid pro quo. Perry sent this message to Dixon because that's exactly what Tyler Perry was doing. At some point, Dixon left Atlanta and moved to Santa Monica to create distance from Tyler Perry. However, even at long distance, Mr. Perry continues to harass Mr. Dixon. So now it's talking about the parties. We know who's involved. Okay, we can scroll through that. We know who's involved. Venue and jurisdiction. We know. He's explaining why he filed in California. Okay, now we're getting to the factual allegations. This is what Tracy told me to just scroll down. Maybe I should have just scrolled down here. Tracy said just go to the allegations. I should have just listened to her. I should have listened to Tracy. Because, baby, I was confused reading through that stuff. I was confusion. Maybe it'll be clear now. Hold on. Let me take a swig before we get started. Let me take a swig. Oh, my goodness. Whew. Okay. Let's go. In or around September 2019, plaintiff worked for an event company called Legendary Events in Atlanta and was hired to organize defendant Perry's studio opening party. The party. Plaintiff was recruited by Tony Conway, the owner of Legendary Events and close friend of Tyler Perry. Mr. Conway decided to place Dixon directly in a role at the party that required frequent conversation with Perry. You don't know that to be a fact. You don't know that. Anyway. Defendant Perry picked plaintiff out of a crowd of employees present at the party and began asking the plaintiff questions about his employment status and whether plaintiff was an actor. In or around early October and on the last day of the party, defendant Perry insisted that he and plaintiff exchanged phone numbers, and Perry subsequently texted plaintiff to introduce himself. Perry began by asking Dixon about his dreams and aspirations. Dixon told Perry that he was interested in acting and writing. Perry then told Dixon to do an audition over the phone and send it to Perry. Dixon told Perry that he was at a Halloween party. Perry asked to see pictures of Dixon in costume, and Dixon complied. When Perry saw the pictures, he texted Dixon, I was going to say, your cowboy needs a sugar daddy. Perry continued with, you look great. You're just lacking some costume parts. Sorry, don't want to offend. Derek responded, no, not at all. It's so true. Half-ass costume. To which Perry replied, what's true? Cowboy needs a sugar daddy? Implying that Perry wanted to be Dixon's sugar daddy. Dixon quickly shut down those comments by reiterating that what he said earlier, that the truth was that he was lacking costume parts. Shortly thereafter, Dixon's boss at Legendary Events called Dixon and told him that Tyler Perry was having another event in Los Angeles and specifically wanted Mr. Dixon to fly from Atlanta to Los Angeles to work on the event. Excited for the opportunity to fly to Los Angeles, Dixon was flattered and jumped on the opportunity to meet Tyler Perry again. Shortly after doing the event on November the 3rd of 2019, defendant Perry sent plaintiff several text messages that said he would love to find plaintiff a job and change his life, insisting that they should make it happen. Perry sent Dixon what turned out to be an ominous warning. And it says, be careful hanging around me. I'll cause dreamers to dream bigger. I'll cause them to not only believe, but do. Then let's make it happen. You're an artist. You have to be fulfilled. Nothing else will suffice. How is that an ominous warning? I make people dream bigger than... How is that ominous? Let me keep reading. I don't think that's ominous, but let me keep going. Maybe I'll see later. The very next day, defendant Perry sent an email which contained an offer for plaintiff to play the role of Dale in Perry's television series Ruthless. Perry said it was a small role that would get a lot bigger, thereby setting up the first stage in a series of escalating quid pro quo offers. At this point, Dixon did not know that Perry was interested in men and that he was looking for an actual relationship. Dixon assumed that Tyler Perry was genuinely a caring person who discovered the talent that Dixon always felt he had. Dixon filmed roles in Ruthless in mid-November and went back to his job as an event staffer for Legendary Events. Approximately 1 month later, Perry bought and gave Dixon a new car because he hated Dixon's Jeep. Because he hated Dixon's Jeep. Dixon was surprised and elated. Dixon had no idea that he was being set up by Perry for extreme dependence. Okay. I have to call bullshit. Oh, y'all didn't tell me I wasn't back on camera. Child. I've been giving y'all my facial expressions and stuff. Y'all ain't even been seeing all of that. Yeah, I'm gonna call. I have to hold on. I'm gonna keep reading it. I'm gonna keep reading it, and by the end, I might change my mind. But I need to call bullshit on this right now. I need to call bullshit on this right now. If I meet a man, and the first thing that this man says to me is, "Oh, I like your costume, but you missing something. You missing a sugar daddy." I mean, even in the context, even in the context of it being a jokey joke, and then he gives me a job, and then he buys me a car. I'm not supposed to know what. I'm not supposed to know that there's a car. I want you to put a 1 in the chat if your boss ever bought you a car. Please, somebody, put a 1 in the chat if your boss ever bought you a car. I mean, other than giving me my paycheck, which allowed me to buy a car, I ain't never have a boss just be like, you know what? I don't like that car you driving. Here go the keys to a new one. I don't care how rich he is. I don't care how rich he is. I don't care that this man is a billionaire who is just riding around buying cars for somebody they just met, much less gave a job. He already gave you a job. Now my boss ain't even got me no McDonald's. Now my boss don't even like me. Y'all cutting up. All right, y'all. We're going to keep reading it. Child, we're going to keep reading it. Okay? We are going to keep reading it, but I'm sorry. I got to call bullshit on this one. I got to call some bullshit. But let me keep reading. I'm going to keep reading. Keep going. Okay, here we go. And this was 1 month later. So 1 month after giving you a job, he bought you a car. So you have only worked for this man for a month, but you ain't know you were being set up. Boy, bye. In December of 2019, Dixon was requested to be a part of the event staff at another event at Perry's home in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. After that event, Perry started frequently sending text messages, making phone calls, and demanding that Dixon give Perry some attention. Exactly. Because when you took them car keys, yeah. You took them car keys, yeah. Now he wants some attention. He wants some attention. On New Year's Eve of 2019, Tyler Perry texted Dixon, "I can't tell you the last time I pumped gas or went to the supermarket or fly commercial or packed a bag or had good sex. It was before I was rich." Dixon found these messages to be strange and untowardly becoming like someone like Tyler Perry. But being new to the industry, Dixon played along by downplaying the sexual comments and hoping that being around Perry would allow him to showcase his talents as an actor and writer. So you mean to tell me when the first thing out that man's mouth was "you look like you need a sugar daddy," that sounded like Tyler Perry, but telling you, I don't know, the last time I pumped my own gas, went to the supermarket, flew commercial, packed a bag, or had good sex, that did. Okay, I'm gonna stop, y'all. I'm gonna stop. Let me just read. I'm gonna stop. Let me just read. Okay. Soon after Dixon began giving Perry more attention, Perry made his move on Dixon. In January of 2020, just a few months after his first acting gig, Perry invited plaintiff to his home in Douglasville County, Georgia. Plaintiff showed up to the home hoping that he would be given a chance to befriend Perry and show him how talented an actor he was. At Perry's home, Dixon was served many alcoholic drinks, which Perry also partook in. Dixon felt that Perry was genuinely interested in Dixon's talents as an actor and writer. Perry made no sexual advances at Dixon while they were drinking, and the conversations were friendly. At the end of the night, Perry told Dixon not to drive home. Perry said it was dangerous and that Dixon was too inebriated to drive home. Dixon agreed and was escorted to a separate guest room, not knowing that this was a ruse to allow Perry to assault Dixon. Dixon was tired and did not have pajamas, so he got into the bed only wearing underwear. Boy, before he knew it, before he knew what was happening, Dixon felt someone else slip into the bed behind him and start rubbing Dixon's body around his inner thigh in a highly and sexually suggestive manner. Dixon, I think sliding in the bed with you was sexually suggestive. Dixon turned around and saw that Tyler Perry was in bed with him. At this point, Dixon's stomach started to turn and he began feeling nauseous. Instinctively, Dixon jumped out of the bed and told Tyler Perry that he wasn't that sexual. What? He wasn't that sexual. Tyler Perry ignored the comments and told Dixon to turn around so Perry could see. It's not funny. It's not funny. I'm sorry. It's not funny. He told him to turn around so Perry could see him naked in his underwear. You can't be both at the same time. You can't be naked and in your underwear at the same time. That is literally an oxymoron. You cannot be naked and in your underwear, but okay. Perry then commented on how beautiful Dixon's body was. Dixon once again told Perry that he was not into sex. Dixon kept informing Perry that he was not into sex in order to keep Perry at bay, while at the same time not insulting the person who was dangling his career in front of him and a brand new car. In response to Dixon's frequent assertions that Dixon was not into sex, Perry started to pry further. Perry would send Dixon a text message saying, "I would hope that you would let someone hold you and make love to you. I would hope that you would let someone hold you and make love to you. You're missing the best years of your life, my friend. Trust me. I hope you get past that block in your mind soon." Perry was implying that Dixon would hopefully get past the block in his mind and would let Terry No. And here's the text message. So allegedly, this is from Tyler Perry. And he said that, I hope you get past this soon. And allegedly, this is what Derek said. "Well, it's not this person, but yes, I want that too. I'm working on it. Therapy is helping." Oh, that must be what he meant earlier when they said something about, "I hope you're working through that in therapy." That also sounds like, remember in that TD Jakes lawsuit where the brother, Dwayne Youngblood's brother, said that they was at the hotel that night when they was on the road traveling, and he said that allegedly TD Jakes slid in the bed with him and came up behind him, and he jumped out the bed and told him basically, "I ain't about that life." Remember that? Y'all remember that when we read that lawsuit? Who remembers that? Put that in the chat if y'all remember. It sounds very much like that. It sounds like the exact same story almost. Y'all, I'm gonna keep reading. Let me keep reading. Not let me hold you for one night. Y'all are gonna stop in this chat, Abby and Lauren. Let me keep reading, child. After that assault in January, Dixon felt betrayed. Not betrayed enough to quit. Perry continued to call or text Dixon every day, asking to talk to him more. Dixon ignored Perry, which led Perry to text him. Derek, why don't you text me more? The more Dixon ignored Perry, the more aggressive Perry became, until finally Perry offered Dixon a part in a new show called The Oval. Dixon was intrigued and was hoping that this would be the big break that he was looking for and a chance for him to display his acting talent. On February the 11th of 2020, Perry told Dixon to quit his job at Legendary Events and come work exclusively for Perry. Perry was not able to control Dixon so long as Dixon had a secondary income that was providing for his basic needs. Once Dixon quit his job due to his role on The Oval, Perry started getting more and more personal with Dixon, knowing that Dixon was now under his control. Perry will often say things like, I give and give and give, and no one ever does anything for me in return. No one ever gives me what I want or what I need, implying that Dixon was not giving him. No, that's why. I don't feel like that's what he was. Well, let me just keep reading. Perry started asking Dixon about Dixon's sexual preference and what role Dixon took on when engaging in sexual acts, i.e., whether he was a top or a bottom, which in sexual terms, we know what that means. We're going to keep going past that. Perry further indicated that Dixon had sex with men before and that he was a top. Perry further told Dixon that when you have a big you-know-what and when you hit that G spot right on these bottoms, they go crazy. I'm going to just keep reading. Perry further told the plaintiff that when he wanted a man who was in a relationship with another individual, but with whom he could be emotionally involved and engaged in sexual acts with, like a friend with benefits relationship, because Perry did not have time to deal with the emotional aspect of a relationship, only the physical. Despite these comments, Dixon knew that a full-throated refusal would land him in the doghouse and might result in his role being cut from the Oval. Fearing that his career would end before it began, Dixon put up with these comments and continued to maintain that he was not the sexual type. Y'all, I am speechless. Okay. I'm speechless. I'm so speechless. Okay. On or around March of 2020, Dixon received the script for The Oval. He was written in as a season regular and therefore expected to quit his job with Legendary Events. Dixon's character was written as gay, homeless, and a desperate store clerk who had to sleep with one of the other characters for a place to stay. More importantly, at the end of the season, his character would be shot 4 times in the chest. Dixon felt that this was a way for Perry to test Dixon out for a year and see if he would be loyal to Perry. When Dixon asked Perry about the shooting, Perry indicated that if Dixon did a good job, Dixon would be back, and that a shooting didn't necessarily mean that Dixon's character was out of the script for future seasons. Perry commented that Dixon's character was only shot in the chest, not in the head. I don't think that that's ridiculous considering he literally hired you off the street. I mean, he literally hired you from a party. Like, I don't think that was like a ridiculous thing for him to be like, we're gonna try this out. Y'all, give me a quick second. I'm gonna let my commercial run. Give me a quick second. I'll be right back. Oh shit. Okay, sorry about that. All right, let's go. Let's keep going. We got a lot more to get through. Let's go. Dixon immediately understood that his job security depended on his relationship with Perry. From this point on, Dixon worked with the constant fear of losing his job if he did not engage with and endure Perry's sexual harassment. Shortly after giving Dixon the news and after telling Dixon the future seasons were dependent on him doing a good job, Perry invited Dixon to his home in Atlanta. Plaintiff asked questions and tried to wiggle his way out of the invitation because he remembered what happened the last time the two were alone. However, Plaintiff knew that his job, security, income, and livelihood depended on his attendance. Perry had seen other employees of Plaintiff had seen other employees of Perry's who had experienced sudden deaths on the show when they fell on Perry's bad side. In fact, Perry made it clear to Dixon that he would often kill characters in order to get an actor to be loyal or obedient. When Dixon arrived at the house, Tyler Perry gave Dixon a warm welcome and was very friendly. Soon after, Tyler Perry started asking Dixon a slew of sexually charged questions, even asking if Dixon liked it rough in bed. Perry then physically reached out and violently grabbed Dixon's throat, attempting to physically choke him, remarked, "Wow, look how excited you just got. You do like that." Dixon was horrified, shocked, and in a panic. Dixon never thought that Tyler Perry could get so violent and would place his hand on Dixon's throat in a sexually aggressive manner. Dixon did not enjoy or consent to any of this conduct. Dixon was in shock and took steps to immediately de-escalate the situation. Due to the onset of COVID-19, in March of 2020, filming for The Oval was postponed indefinitely. During the period in which filming for The Oval was postponed, Tyler Perry would make FaceTime calls and other contacts to Dixon almost every day, treating Dixon as an on-call pet. Dixon felt obligated to answer for fear of losing his role, income, and career. Perry often asked about Dixon and his whereabouts, often demanding that Dixon respond immediately. When he didn't, Perry would send text messages to Dixon stating, "Derek, grr, and what are you doing?" Additionally, Perry was jealous of anyone who Dixon had a relationship with. Tyler Perry told Dixon that if he got COVID from his roommate at the time, Dixon would not be able to shoot The Oval. Perry encouraged Dixon to move into one of the on-set houses owned by Perry, where he would have more control over Dixon's whereabouts. I'm going to put a pin in that. This I know to be a fact because I remember when it happened. Tyler Perry literally moved the whole cast of Sisters onto his lot during COVID so they could film. Literally, they all moved on. You could go back on DeVal and all the other actors and actresses who were on the show. He literally moved the whole cast onto his lot into like the different like houses and stuff like that where they could stay. They lived there. They were there for like a month, filmed the whole season, and then went back home. And I do remember him doing that because, again, like I said, I follow Kadeen and Duval, and they were still living in LA at the time. He hadn't moved to Atlanta yet. And he literally flew out. And I remember, I just remember that. So again, Did he suggest it? Probably, because hell, he had everybody else living on his lot. It wasn't, I'm saying that to say that he wasn't the only one that he extended that to so he could continue to work, so these people could keep working. He moved the cast and the crew of all of his shows. Okay, so it was all of his shows. Thank you, Xavier. I know it was Sisters, because like I said, I follow a few of the people off Sisters, and I remember that happening. Then he tried to get Granddad to move on the lot in the pause episode on the Boondocks. Oh, y'all, you know what? I'm gonna have to go back and watch that episode of the Boondocks, because I really don't remember. I mean, I saw it obviously, but baby, the Boondocks was 10 years ago. I can't remember every episode. I would have to go back and look at it again. But I do remember there was a Tyler Perry episode, chat. All right, let me keep reading. I just had to pause there because I know he did do that. But again, I don't think that was special to Derek. Everybody. Okay. Their actor Perry would text plaintiff about other actors on his show Ruthless. Perry told Dixon how he manipulated employees through ruthless retaliation. Perry told Dixon that if he did not like the way an actor behaved or the way the actor was acting, the character would simply die in season 2. Well, isn't that what if you're not a good actor, don't you get fired from your acting job? Am I tripping? I'm going to read that again. Hold on, let me read that again. Perry told Dixon that if he did not like the way an actor behaved or the way the actor was acting, the character would simply die in season 2. Isn't that what happens? Isn't that what happens? You don't like the way an actor is acting? Hey, Jane. Hey, boo. All right, y'all. I said I was going to keep going, but I'm sorry. Y'all know, listen, this is a reaction video. Y'all want somebody to read straight through without giving y'all a reaction, go to Pam's house, because Pam is going to give you, even though Pam be cutting up too. Pam be cutting up too, but I can't help it. I can't help it. That's what they did on the soaps. Act up and you in a coma. Exactly. And you're going to stay in that coma until they decide whether they're going to fire you or not. You saw, remember, Scandal? You saw how fast they fired old boy from Scandal. He cut up, baby. He was gone. He was gone. Okay, let me keep going. Dixon understood that Perry was informing Dixon to be cautious about disappointing or upsetting Perry. As a result, Dixon continued to put up with Perry's suggestive messages and sexual advances while doing his best to protect himself by taking notes and amassing evidence of the harassment and keeping old text messages. In one conversation on or around April of 2020, Perry told Dixon that he imagined him prancing around in a cowboy outfit. It's not funny. I'm sorry. I'm just picturing this man prancing. Okay. Prancing around in a cowboy outfit, and that Perry did thanks to Dixon and that he couldn't talk with Dixon about it any further because they were so wrong. That's a text message. Where's that text message? I want to see the text message with Tyler Perry saying that. Where is it? Now, maybe it's later on, but we're going to keep going. In or around April 2020, while Dixon was living in the studio homes on set. Oh, so you moved in. So you didn't put that part. You moved in. Perry often coerced Dixon to drink alcohol and then get on the phone with Perry. Perry would frequently have someone drop off alcohol at Dixon's door. Perry would eventually turn these phone calls into sexually explicit rants. Perry would get frustrated with Dixon and tell Dixon that he was not giving him what he needs. His refusal to succumb to Perry's advances caused him to be even more frustrated. Eventually, Perry warned Dixon that if he told castmates about the harassment, that Dixon would be opening himself up to lots of questions and foolishness, and demands that Dixon did not discuss any of the conversations with his castmates. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I spoke too soon. Here goes something. Lord, this shit's so small. Hold on. Let me read this, and then let me read this text message. Okay. Perry upped the stakes by telling Dixon point blank that he would not tell anyone about their friendship. Perry told Dixon that it should all remain a secret and tried to make it seem like this secret was for Dixon's benefit. Perry continued to harass Dixon. On June 27th of 2020, defendant Perry texted Dixon that all he wanted for his birthday was biscuits and a BJ. But that all Perry ever received were biscuits, insinuating a request for oral sex from Dixon. Let me read this. Hold on. Let me make this bigger because this writing is so small. Hold on. It says, now this is allegedly Tyler Perry. It says, listen to me. If you let the cast know that you and I have a new friendship, then you are opening yourself up to a lot of questions and foolishness. You want them to know that you are there because of your talent and not because we have a friendship or because Tony got me to give you a job. So it says right there, okay, his friend was the one that got him the job. You earn your spot like everyone else. Don't give people an opportunity to play you small or they will. I can't teach you everything. Unfortunately, there are things that you'll have to learn for yourself. Because when we go back to work, I'm not going to know you. I don't have any friends that work for me, my friend. Professionalism is the key. So then Derek responded, you're totally right. Tyler Perry said, I hope you got it, my friend. Derek responds, that makes total sense. Tyler Perry says, just watch the behavior of everyone around me on set. And then he says, yeah, I will. Don't want to give anyone that opportunity. Work is work. Hey, what's up? What's up? Hey, who all gonna be there? Hey, boo. He put the biscuits and BJ text. Right. See, this is what I'm talking about. As we're reading through here, the text messages that you claim you have with Tyler Perry being very direct and saying things very directly, those are the messages that I don't see. Those are the ones I want to see. That message to me was not ominous. That message was basically saying, look, when we're at work, we don't know each other. We don't want people to know that me and you are friends behind the scenes because you don't want anybody to question or think that you got your job any other way than the right way. Like you don't want, like, I don't see what he said wrong. That happened to me before, not this situation, but one of the jobs that I got, I was really good friends with the person that was in charge, and I was friends with him and his wife. And his wife took me out to lunch before I started work and was like, listen, you're really good friends with us and you're cool with other, like, you know, like basically don't act like there's a relationship there. Don't act like you know us. Don't act like it's anything more than a professional situation because we don't want anybody to think that you didn't get this job the right way, which you did, but you knew us. And so you kind of got it, you know, and that happened to me before. That didn't mean that man was trying to sleep with me. He never made no passes at me. He never did anything towards me. I'm going to just keep reading. Despite these advances, okay, I'm sorry, no. Dixon had all he wanted for his birthday. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Just giving, okay, hold on. Referring, okay, receive with biscuits, insinuating, okay. This text was followed by other messages calling Dixon cute, cutie, and that Perry was just thinking about Dixon. Where are those messages? Despite these advances, Dixon continued to act professionally and continued to tell Perry he was not sexual. This seemed to be the only way of keeping Perry at bay while keeping his job. In July of 2020, Perry remarked how much he loved the script for Dixon's television series called Losing It and exclaimed that he wanted to shoot the pilot for it. Perry would never really work toward that goal, and what Perry was really doing was making Mr. Dixon more dependent on Perry so that he would later extract sexual favors from Dixon as a quid pro quo. In or around August of 2020, Dixon and his castmates began shooting for the Oval after delays due to the pandemic, during which time all castmates and crews lived in the studio set and quarantine bubble. Yeah. Shortly after, Perry confided in Dixon that two cast members were pissing him off and that Perry swore that he knew how to fix this shit. Perry added that he loves killing a mother effer in the show that no one expects, that he was going to shoot them and unalive the mofos, referring to killing off characters in the Oval played by actors who Perry wanted to retaliate against. More importantly, Perry stated that in one text message, I may need to shoot the shootout early, which Dixon understood to mean that unless the actors knew that they were going to die, that their time on the show was over, they wouldn't change their ways. Perry was going to film the shootout early so that the actors would be more submissive to Perry's request. And these are those text messages. So this one says, this is coming from Tyler Perry. But I swear to you, I know how to fix this shit. I love killing a motherfucker in the show when no one expects. Then he says, oh, this is the one we already read. You could be sipping my tea. Okay, we already read this text message now. Hold on, let me see. Oh, Lord, child. Perry intentionally made these comments to instill fear in Dixon. Mr. Dixon now knew that he too would lose his job if he did not play ball with Perry's harassment. This is what Perry had been setting up. Dixon was now fully relying on Perry for some hope and future aspirations. Perry made it clear that Dixon was not to disclose the relationship to anyone else, and Dixon was aware that Perry would kill him off for the show for good, thereby ending his career if Dixon got on Perry's bad side. To top it off, Dixon already knew that his character was shot 4 times at the end of the season, but that the shots might not be fatal. By July of 2020, Perry read the script of Dixon's pilot, and told Dixon that he loved the show so much he wanted to shoot the pilot for himself. Dixon did not know that Perry never intended on shooting the show. Perry knew that he could use the motivation of shooting Mr. Dixon's show to get him to do what he wanted, to get him to do what he had been resisting for months, which was to give Perry the sexual gratification he craved. Once the stage was set, Perry knew he would get away with the harassment. During the filming of The Oval in 2020, he engaged in a severe and pervasive tirade of sexual commentary, including, but not limited to, and I'm about to read y'all what it says here, that Dixon liked being choked, following Dixon's being choked by a cast member in one scene on The Oval. B, why do you twist your hips when you walk? C, how can I get a day of Dixon? D, when will you be thick again? E, I love how I feel right now, but I don't like being horny. F, I feel sorry for the first person who flirts with me. G, I've been trying to put that energy somewhere else, but everything is sexual on this stuff. H, that snakes across the table made me think of a photo of Nicki Minaj from the music video of her song Anaconda, in which she references intercourse with male genitalia symbolized by a snake. I will gladly choke you right now. J, a suggestion that Dixon should get braces behind his teeth, but that the plaintiff will have to give up BJs and that it could be dangerous for Dixon's partner, especially if they're not circumcised. K, that's when you were thick, Derek, fun Derek, drunk Derek, before COVID Derek. I miss him, just without a butt. And L, thick Derek worked them pants out. Perry also photographed Dixon's buttocks while on set, sending the pictures to Dixon. 2 text messages of many show that Perry was jealous of seeing Dixon with other men, that Perry describes Dixon as so beautiful. Where are the pictures? Where's the text message of him sending you pictures of your butt? Where are those? These text messages we already read. This is about him going to the Chipotle, child. Then this one says, but yes, I want that too. I'm working on it. Therapy is helping. I'm not that. Okay, we read those already. This series of comments and other unwanted sexual references made Dixon highly uncomfortable. Dixon was caught in a bind. He could not complain to anyone in HR. He had nowhere to turn to for relief from the harassment, and he knew that if he did not endure it, he would be unalived off the Oval. Dixon was unsure whether to joke back or rebuff Perry's harassment, so he endured it knowing that his job was on the line if he did not engage. Perry will also share intimate details of his own sex life with Dixon. Among other things, Perry would tell Dixon that he had not had good sex since he became rich, and that there were certain times where he had not been touched in months. On the second to last day of shooting for the Oval, Dixon filmed the episode where his character was shot 4 times, indicating a seeming end to his role on the show and his termination from the job. It was precisely following this day of filming, when Tyler knew that Dixon's character's fate would be decided, that Perry invited Dixon to his trailer for drinks. Dixon knew that refusing meant the end of his career, so he accepted. It was there on that very same day that Perry dialed up the harassment to a new level. Tyler asked Derek point blank, "Are you attracted to me?" and demanded that Dixon answer. Plaintiff reiterated the same way he did after the first assault by skirting the question. Dixon told Perry that he wasn't that sexual or looking for anything. Perry's insistent probing did not stop. Perry continued to talk about how good looking and sexy Dixon was, and that plaintiff was wasting his looks by not being free and having sex. Dixon repeatedly deflected these comments with neutral answers, constantly looking for ways to avoid Tyler Perry's sexual interrogation while continuing to work about the future. The Oval, Mr. Perry was testing how far he could go with Dixon. After enduring the harassment and doing the best to dodge the situation, Mr. Dixon got up and the two exchanged goodbyes. As Dixon was leaving Perry's trailer, Perry got up and pinned Dixon against the wall. Perry began aggressively groping Dixon's buttocks in a sexual motion. Tyler began reaching down towards his butt and groped Dixon's butt in a strong and sexual manner, but could not have been a mere accident. Dixon stood frozen in horror and could not reciprocate or fight back. All Dixon could do was let his body go cold and limp. Seeing that Dixon had no desire in Perry, Perry told Dixon that he was drunk and asked Dixon to leave the trailer. As soon as Derek Dixon left the trailer following Tyler Perry's violent assault, Dixon became severely nauseous and extremely anxious about his job, career, and livelihood. Dixon felt trapped within the confines of the studio's quarantine bubble. There was still another shoot the next day. Dixon called his friend Justin Bryant on the phone and told him everything that happened and was unaware of any HR representative with whom he could report the assault. Plaintiff had no one to turn to and nowhere to go to save him from Perry's aggressive sexual harassment and exploitation. The next day, Perry acted like nothing happened, and this time did not even offer Mr. Dixon an apology. Following this exchange, Dixon began to avoid Perry as much as possible. However, Dixon still felt the need to answer Perry's incessant text messages, so he changed his approach. Dixon often pretended to be asleep to avoid being harassed by Perry. However, Perry persisted by texting him the following messages. A, "Are you awake?" B, "Stop ignoring me." C, "Are you awake, Derek?" D, capital letters, "Wake up. I know you're not sleeping." And E, "Give me attention." In or around early October 2020, Perry invited Dixon and the other actors from the Oval on a cash trip to his personal island in the Bahamas. Dixon knew, as did everyone else on the show, that declining to go on this trip might cause Perry to erase you from the show. Dixon agreed to go, knowing that the whole cast was going to be there. One night, while in Perry's private island on the Bahamas, the cast was having a party. At the end of the night, Perry told Dixon that he wanted to talk to him. Dixon was caught off guard. Perry made alcoholic drinks and forced Dixon to drink with him. Dixon knew that he could not refuse the drinks. We know. Otherwise, risking your career. Yeah. Tyler Perry did not control himself. He drank until it was clear that the alcohol had made him bold and sexually aggressive. Perry told Dixon that he wanted a relationship with someone who could be emotionally and sexually available to him and will also be permissive of Perry having his own relationship with someone else. Perry said he could see himself having that type of relationship with Dixon. Perry insisted that Dixon needed to be with someone rich because Dixon likes nice things. Perry told Dixon that he was watching all the cast as they laid out in the sun and tanning oil. Perry continued raving about how seeing Dixon greased up like that was driving him crazy. Perry said he would have burnt the whole island down if one of the other actors or anyone else from the group had touched him that night. At that point, he once again aggressively seized Dixon and groped him. Dixon once again did not reciprocate and froze up. Perry got the message and told Dixon to go to bed. Dixon was terrified and could barely sleep. From that moment on, Perry became extremely frustrated and possessive. Perry wanted desperately for Dixon to be attracted to him, but Dixon was not. In one exchange, Perry sent pictures of himself from the Bahamas to Dixon. Dixon responded that the water looked nice. Perry got upset that Dixon did not see the stud in the picture and instead focused on the water. Perry called Dixon an a-hole for laughing out loud at Perry's desire for Dixon to call him a stud. So here's that text message. There's a picture of Tyler Perry in the Bahamas standing next to the jet ski. It says, nice picture. Yeah, that water does look calm. Nice picture, question mark, question mark, question mark. Great, amazing, awesome picture. Then it says, you don't see that stud in that nice picture? Rude. LOL, yes, that's a stud. And then he said, asshole. Again, y'all. Y'all. That sounds like a normal exchange between some friends. You send a friend a picture and you be like, and the person says, oh, that's cute. The water looks beautiful. You're like, what you mean? You don't see this stud in front of you? Like, I don't see. Yeah. We almost done, child. Let me keep reading, child. On or around October the 18th of 2020, following Dixon's return from the Bahamas, Perry told Dixon that he was jealous that Dixon was giving too much attention to other men. Perry stated that he was being too much of a social butterfly and that he would need him to sit still this week, further attempting to exercise his influence over Dixon's interaction with other men. Perry continued to wield his position as Dixon's boss, demanding sexual attention in exchange for his continued employment. These text messages were followed by others to Dixon like, Derek, don't you dare ignore me. I deserve better. I deserve attention all the time. Dixon, out of fear of the unknown future of his career, continued to give Perry the social attention he demanded, even though Dixon would constantly get sexually harassed. On several occasions, Perry would text Dixon while drunk. In one exchange, Perry told Dixon, you know what I cooked, Derek? And then proceeded to say, I'm so drunk talking shit. In December of 2020, Dixon began feeling depleted due to Perry's continued pattern of harassment. The assaults and harassment began manifesting in physical health. Mr. Dixon had no one to turn to. He visited a physician who indicated that he exhibited severe symptoms of acute stress, insomnia, and stomach issues, and dangerously low cholesterol levels due to the harassment and assault. I'm sorry, I said cortisol. The physician prescribed Zoloft, an antidepressant for. Now, this is the setup for mental, that's the setup. That's the setup. The harassment continued through the beginning of 2021. Perry continued sending unsolicited photos of Dixon's body from the set of the Oval with comments such as, oh my God, look, excuse me. Oh my God, look at Think Derek. I guess that meant thick Derek. B, no, the weight difference. I can see it. And C, thick Derek. Okay, good. Sir, Derek. Y'all. Nope, I can't deal with thick Derek. LOL. What's going to take for you to have guiltless sex? Have you? We read these already. This is from the beginning. Okay. We read all of these. This the same thing. This the Chipotle. Okay. I can't wait to get that phone call from you when you tell me you let go and you loved every minute of it. Referring to the plaintiffs, no straight man would be going on walks with you or cooking dinner for you unless they wanted to F you. I would F you. What are you doing hanging out with that girlfriend of yours? She wants you too. Everyone wants to F Jacob, referring to Dixon's character on the pilot of Losing It. After several weeks of unreciprocated innuendos and demands for attention, Perry lashed out at Dixon on set and asked if he needed to punch Dixon in the stomach. For Dixon to act that way, Perry envisioned in a scene, meaning you weren't acting the way he needed you to act. This exchange was highly tense, and Perry's reaction stunned several cast members. Actors on set consoled Dixon for the abrasive interaction, confused as to why Perry overreacted in such a manner. But Dixon knew that Perry was lashing out due to his frustration at the lack of attention Dixon was giving him. On or around June the 4th of 2021, Perry invited Dixon to his house to spend some time together and discuss the pilot of Losing It. Although Dixon hesitated, he feared the consequence of disappointing Perry and believed once again Losing It was a big show he would be freed from under the clutches of Perry. How would you be free if Tyler Perry is going to produce the show, direct the show? How are you going to be freed from him? During the visit, Perry made several alcoholic beverages for himself and demanded to know why Dixon wasn't having sex with anyone. Perry probed further into Dixon's sex life, insisting that the two were becoming increasingly drunk and that it was time to end the night. Perry then led Dixon to a guest house where a guest bedroom was. Dixon would be staying there that night. So you allowed your... Inside the guest bedroom, Perry motioned to Dixon to come see a weight monitor that he had. Perry told Dixon that for the monitor to work, Dixon would need to step on the monitor wearing only his underwear and push Dixon to try it out. Dixon tried to avoid the uncomfortable situation, but decided it was better to comply and hurry to bed than to wait for the alternative at that point. After weighing himself, Dixon walked toward the guest bedroom, followed by Perry, who then asked him for a good night hug. Rather than arguing, Dixon complied, at which point Perry reached out and yanked Dixon's underwear down. That's not funny. Yanked Dixon's underwear down from behind. Perry then began to vigorously grab, grope, and play with Dixon's buttocks in a sexual manner. Dixon was naked, stunned, and seized by tremendous fear. Dixon started to tell Perry that he did not want his underwear down, and Dixon did not want to be naked, and that Dixon didn't want this. Dixon quickly reached to pull his underwear back up. As soon as he did, Perry grabbed Dixon's reaching arm with a tightened grip and held fast. Terry then told Dixon to relax and just let it happen, and that Perry wasn't going to hurt. Dixon. Perry continued to sexually grope him. Dixon's anxiety rapidly escalated, thinking that he might be RAPE'd. Dixon was not sure what to do, and his breath shortened. Perry ignored his refusals and held his hand fast, preventing him from reaching for his underwear. Dixon was naked and being groped by a large, drunk, and frustrated 6'5" man who had Dixon in his clutches. Dixon did not know if he was going to have to get into a physical fight, but he knew that any efforts to fight back were hopeless. Perry had armed security at his gate, was much larger than Dixon, and told Dixon that he had several guns in his home. Dixon was desperate for a way out and remarked that he couldn't do anything sexual because he was so hungry. Attempting to change the conversation, Dixon asked, "Is there any food up here?" which prompted Perry to withdraw and order pizza. Y'all, do I have to finish reading this? Oh, my God. Afterwards, okay, he ordered pizza. Okay. Dixon, in fear for his safety, followed Perry into the main house to eat pizza. Afterwards, Dixon returned to the guest house and, unable to lock the bedroom door, locked himself in the guest house bathroom and slept on the floor. Dixon then attempted to contact some close friends about the incident. The following morning, Dixon realized that he had left his car keys in the main house, and upon going to retrieve them, encountered Perry. Perry told Dixon that last night's incident was why the two shouldn't drink together and that the previous night's incident shouldn't have happened. Dixon responded saying, "Oh, so that was my fault?" To which Perry replied, "No, no, no. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that shouldn't have happened and I drank too much." Attempting to excuse himself for grabbing Dixon's butt, groping Dixon, and attempting to have sex with him against his will. At this point, Dixon left Perry's home, uncontrollably shaking, and contacted his close friends to discuss the unspeakable horror from the night before. For the next several days, Perry texted and called Dixon incessantly, with messages asking Dixon to call him or answer his calls. Finally, Dixon answered, at which point Perry began to apologize, blaming the testosterone supplements he was taking at the time. Perry had confided in Dixon about those supplements in the past messages and decided to use them as a scapegoat for his action. Dixon emphasized that he was not okay with what happened and that he had never asked Perry for anything, to which Perry replied, "I know, that's why I like you." Perry further attempted to rectify his misconduct by inviting Dixon on a yacht trip and telling him that was for sure going to make Dixon's pilot. Dixon realized that Perry was offering to make losing it to effectively silence him. So let's read through these text messages. This is Tyler Perry. "They make money from the advertising, lots of money. I love how I feel right now, but I don't like being horny. Testosterone. Oh yeah, from the doctor, but it's making you feel better. I feel so good, but I don't like being horny. I feel sorry for the first person that flirts with me." And then he responded, "LOL, LOL." And then he said, "You don't even understand. Tired." And then this is another message. It says, "Tired you? Call me." And then Derek said, "Hey, I think that hangover hit me harder than I thought. Can we talk later?" And then Tyler says, "Yeah, it was quick, but okay. I really need to talk to you about my friend. Please, I really need to talk to you, my friend. Please call as soon as you can. Trying to do rooms on the boat. If I invite Bill, would you be okay sharing a room with him or not?" And then Derek responded, "Hey, I appreciate the invite, but I think I need more time." See, this is what I'm saying. You keep giving us the before and the after. Where's the text message where he apologized and said it shouldn't happen again? Where are those text messages? Because here's the text message where you said he invited you on the yacht. But it's interesting that those are the text messages that we keep missing. Again, maybe he holding on to the smoking gun. I don't know. I don't know. After Dixon refused to go on the yacht, Perry did not text him for 5 months. Sensing that Dixon was upset, Perry called Dixon once to update him that Perry was looking for a director for the pilot. During that 5-month period, Dixon was regularly in therapy. He suffered from severe depression, anxiety, stomach pains, nausea, resulting in a new prescription for another antidepressant. Dixon was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, and his therapist recommended that he seek outpatient treatment costing upwards of $20,000, a price too high for Dixon at that time. During the time, Dixon began speaking with people about the assault and was assessing his rights. As soon as Perry realized that Dixon was done talking to him, Dixon got a message from Perry's fixers. Perry's fixers contacted Dixon, indicating Dixon's character on the Oval, the one who was shot, will be returning with a new storyline next season, and Dixon was receiving a a graduated raise from $10,000 per episode to $16,000 per episode that would continue to increase upwards of $19,000 per episode over the coming seasons. The attorney said that Christmas came early for Dixon because he was doing a good job. However, they told Dixon that he was forbidden from letting his castmates know about the raise because nobody other than him would be receiving a similar pay raise. It didn't say nobody was receiving a pay raise. It said nobody was receiving a similar pay raise. Okay. And are the fixers really just people from HR that called him to tell him he was getting a raise? Okay. Dixon immediately knew. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Lastly, fixers told Dixon that Perry wanted to buy the right to produce the pilot of Losing It and planned to spend up to $1 million producing the pilot. Dixon immediately knew why he was getting this raise and why the pilot was being produced. He knew he could keep the money and the job or complain about the harassment, but not both. The situation facing Dixon presented a challenging decision that left him unable to take any action or make any decision. The prospect of the sexual assault and harassment becoming public and dealing with Perry's highly paid attorneys was daunting. Perry had significant resources, whereas Dixon did not. Dixon's goal of working as an actor and being discovered for his talents might be jeopardized. In what was an extremely difficult decision, Dixon bowed to the pressure and fear of losing his livelihood in hopes of advancing his career. Dixon decided to return to the set and have his pilot produced. He insisted, however, and decided to put safeguards in place between himself and Perry. In or around November of 2021, Dixon returned to shoot the Oval. It was then when he saw Perry for the first time in person since around June of 2021. Dixon suffered a panic attack in his trailer, prompting another actor to calm him down. Seeing Dixon was still upset, Perry knew he had to up the ante to ensure Dixon's silence. Perry began periodically texting the plaintiff regarding the production of the pilot to string Dixon along. Soon after, Dixon received a call from a member of Perry's production team telling him that they were considering shooting Dixon's pilot in the coming fall of 2021. Dixon was desperate for this good news given the uncertainty around his finances and concern about his future. On or around March the 4th of 2022, Dixon signed the itinerary, purchase agreement for the pilot, giving the rights for the series to defendants Tyler Perry Studios. Dixon was unaware of Tyler Perry Studios' pre-existing television contract with Viacom CBS, now known as Paramount Global, which would later prevent the sale of Dixon's show to any other media outlet or streaming service for 2 years. On or around March of 2022, shortly after seeing each other on the set of the Oval, Dixon and Perry began shooting the pilot. Perry called Dixon following the shoot, telling him that the show would net $2 to $3 million per episode and run for 2 seasons, guaranteed. Perry purchased the rights to Losing It from Dixon, but did not try to sell it to any network. In fact, Perry was under contract with Viacom CBS, preventing him from selling Dixon's show for an additional 2 years following the purchase. In other words, Perry spent money shooting a pilot for a show and then purchased the rights to it, knowing that he could not sell the show for 2 years. Clearly, this was done for the ulterior motive of that. Okay, that doesn't make sense. Xavier and other people who know more about this than I do, it sounds like he bought the rights to the show, he produced the pilot, and he could have either used the contract that he had with Viacom CBS to produce the show through Viacom, but he couldn't sell it to an outside. Am I right? Am I understanding that correctly? Y'all see what I'm saying? Like, so he bought the rights to the show, he produced the pilot, And it sounds like if we believe this, that he was going to put the show through his contract with CBS Viacom, and maybe they weren't interested and he couldn't sell it anywhere else. I don't know. Okay, let me just keep reading, child. Okay. As it turns out, Perry had no intention of ever producing. Perry never made any efforts to sell or shop it. Perry was only using the show as quid pro quo to Dixon, holding its production over Dixon's head like the child. On or around April of 2022, to his surprise, Plaintiff received a script for another season of The Oval, in which Plaintiff's character, originally written as a grocery store clerk, would play a male prostitute being pursued by a pimp. This character's scenes and stories shared eerie similarities to Perry's pursuit of Dixon. While it was not surprising that one of Perry's characters would end up this way, the timing of change to Dixon was a very clear message. As Dixon continued to read through the scripts, he started to notice that Perry included lines taken directly from things that Perry and Dixon spoke about. Perry started to base script on real life and make it personal. For example, Perry wrote about Dixon that I don't like none of my bitches running away. He is making good money for me. Huh? In or around April of 2022, before beginning to shoot the next season of The Oval, Perry called Dixon to discuss the June 2021 sexual assault. On that phone call, Perry lectured Dixon about how Dixon was overreacting to the assault because of prior assaults in Dixon's life. Perry said there was a misunderstanding and miscommunication, and that Dixon needed to say no stronger. In other words, Perry blamed Dixon for the assault, claiming that Perry felt that Dixon's no was really a yes, because Dixon did not say no strongly enough. So as to not jeopardize his employment with defendant Perry and Tyler Perry Studios, Dixon dismissed the conversation, especially due to the allegedly impending sale of his show to a major broadcasting company. On or around October the 28th of 2022, after filming a full season of The Oval, Perry told Dixon that despite shooting the pilot, it could take a while to place, and that Perry couldn't do any other television series until his deal with Viacom, which would take about 2 years. In or around January of 2023, Plaintiff indicated that he was moving to Santa Monica. He did so to put distance between himself and Perry. Perry replied that he was glad to hear that Dixon was moving away, and asked if Dixon's no was stronger before he left. Perry reiterated that Dixon's should have a strong no to make it clear. Those are the same text messages we already read through, child. Yeah. This was Perry's way of once again referring to his June 21 assault of Dixon, making it clear that Perry felt no remorse for assaulting him. Dixon remained calm considering these triggering comments because he needed Perry to help him with his dream of producing a show, and because Dixon was still a regular actor on The Oval. Even after Dixon moved to California, the quid pro quo harassment and attempts to cover up the assault by promising a show continued. Perry would call Dixon, who felt obligated to pick up Perry's phone calls and respond to text messages. These conversations will often start about work and the men's business relationship, and then transition into further conversation about Dixon's sex life, adding to Dixon's trauma and forcing him to relive the assault. Perry continued to envelop Dixon in his feeling of resilience and justify the assault that happened. Perry would call Dixon, who felt obligated to pick up Perry's phone calls and respond to text messages. These conversations will often start about work and the men's business relationship, and then transition to further conversation about Dixon's sex life, adding to Dixon's trauma and forcing him to relive the assault. Perry continued. Oh, I just read that. I'm sorry, y'all. Perry will call Dixon and say, y'all understand when you have a hit show, and in the same breath refer to the assault by saying, I'm so glad you're over that. Dixon knew that he had to just hold his tongue because Perry was still employing him. On or around October 2023, Tyler Perry finally contacted Dixon, indicating that he was going to be finished with his Paramount Global contract in January 2024, and that he would be able to start working on selling Losing It. Perry was just hoping that the substitute of limitations would run out on Dixon of this. I'm sorry, y'all. statute. I said substitute, Lord. Statute of limitations will run out on Dixon's assault claims before closing the door on Dixon hope on the quid pro quo that Perry offered. In the same conversation where they are talking about Perry starting to do things with losing it, Tyler Perry also asked Dixon who he was having sex with. Perry further pushed for details, asking Dixon if he was the giver or the receiver in this scenario, or if the plaintiff used protection and prep when engaging in sexual acts. Perry continued to probe other intimate details about Dixon's sex life. Perry again told Dixon that he wanted a partner with whom he could have an emotional and sexual relationship, but who goes back to their partner at the end of the day. In December 2023, Christian Keys, another actor who worked for Perry prior to Dixon's employment, posted a video on social media platforms detailing his abusive experience with an anonymous Black Hollywood billionaire, which Dixon believed to be Tyler Perry. Dixon heard Mr. Keys' account of and saw what Perry had been engaging in the same conduct with other actors. Just like the interactions described by Keys, Perry would get drunk, climb into Dixon's bed, and start fondling his butt. Dixon wanted to share his experience with the media to prevent others from being abused at the hands of Perry. Around this time, Perry called Dixon, indicating that he really wanted to find a home for Dixon's series, again perpetrating the quid pro quo. Then, in January of 2024, Perry told Dixon to begin working on a pitch deck for investors for the pilot. Despite having 8 episodes written, Perry only produced 1, claiming that the president of his company, Michelle Sneed, conveniently misplaced the what? The $1 million that was going to be used for the show. How you misplace $1 million? During this time, Perry further solicited Dixon's assistance with other films and projects that Tyler Perry was working on. Once again, Dixon was in a position where he could not say no. So these are some more messages. So Derek says to Tyler, I can call you later or tomorrow sometime. So Tyler says, you have a really fresh voice and take on things. I don't know where this is going, but I laughed the entire time. I could see the world and the characters. My exclusivity ends in 30 days. I want to take losing it out to Amazon or Netflix. After that, engage their interests. But I also want to try and get you with the right people to help you make these shows work. They are not for my audience, but we need to find a home for this stuff. I don't want to miss another Schitt's Creek. You know that Eugene brought that to me first, but I didn't get it. Amon gets here tomorrow, so he's got my full attention. I'll be trapped until the day after Christmas, so let's talk then. Y'all, I'm so confused. That doesn't sound nefarious at all. And again, none of what you said happened in here is in this text message. That text message literally says the exact opposite of what you just said. It sounds like he very much was trying to help you. He said he doesn't want to miss another Schitt's Creek. It's not for his audience, but he needs to find a home for it. So in other words, right now I got a contract with BET, but this ain't going to work on BET. All right, I'm going to keep reading. Now, I do have something for you, Tyler. I'm going to get to the end. I got some smoke for Tyler, too. Please understand, I got some smoke for Tyler, too. We're going to get to the end, though. Hold on. I know I said we was almost done before, but we really are almost done. We're on page 34, 46. And the last couple of pages are usually, we almost at the end, child. We almost at the end. In or around March of 2024, Tyler Perry indicated to Derek that the individual who was meant to pitch the pilot became depressed and could no longer pitch the show. This was another excuse for the fact that Perry never liked the show and never intended to sell it. Dixon did not get angry and allowed Perry more time to figure things out for the show. Mistakenly sensing that Dixon had forgiven him, Perry started back up with the harassment. Perry continued to harass Dixon, who was still working on the Oval and who was still waiting eagerly for Perry to sell losing it. Perry would tell Dixon that he loved Dixon, that Dixon should be living his life, and that Dixon should be having more sex. Perry even indicated that he would send Dixon's show to Peter Friedlander at Netflix, but all this was an attempt to remind Dixon of the sword hanging over his neck. Later, Perry told Dixon that Netflix turned down the show. Dixon was never contacted by any individuals from Netflix regarding the show, and no sale ever materialized. In or around June of 2024, Perry, sensing that Dixon was getting frustrated about his show not getting off the ground and still concerned about the assault being made public, offered Dixon a position as a writer on Perry's shows, indicating that he needed a replacement to continue writing. It was only then that Dixon woke up and realized that Perry was never going to be serious about helping him. He literally just offered you a job, man. Perry was only going to do things for Dixon if Dixon played along with the harassment and assault. Perry was only interested in preventing Dixon from exposing the dark side of Tyler Perry. Perry only cared what people still view him as the victim he once was, even now as he took shape as the victimizer. Dixon became sick to his stomach. Rather than continue down this path, Dixon took the heroic step of reporting the harassment to the EEOC. After reporting the harassment, defendants did not make any investigation into the complaint and did not take any steps to prevent further harassment from occurring. Because defendants took no action to prevent further assault or harassment, Dixon had to quit his job working on the last season of The Oval. Dixon did so even though he was under contract to finish filming and stood to make close to $400,000. Dixon did not want to be harassed or placed in danger of assault again. The defendant then retaliated against Dixon. The defendant told Dixon if he quit and told the other actors why he quit, he would be in breach of contract. Defendants told Dixon that the only way out was to portray his departure from the show as a medical leave due to emotional distress caused by the harassment. The leave of absence was to be paid medical leave. Instead, defendant made the leave absence unpaid and therefore terminated plaintiff's employment, causing Dixon additional loss of income and insult. Okay. Hey, nephew, I saw you, boo. I saw your clip. You look good. You look good. Okay. So let me say this. I'm with you. I don't know how the math got to $400,000, but okay then. But that's not even my problem at this point. So let me say this. I want to be fair and I want to look at both sides. If these text messages are real, and I only say that because they seem chopped up and they don't really seem to make sense. And the most damning text messages that he claims to have, we never saw. We never saw the text messages. Let me scroll a little bit further. Hold on. That I already closed that tab. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. Maybe there's more. Let me scroll to the bottom. Because the next is the cause of action where they go through each. Y'all know they go. This is where they get into like case law and all of that. Let me see. Let me make sure there's no more text messages. Law offices of Jonathan Delshad. Nope, that's the end of the complaint. So let me be clear. Because I saw somebody make a comment earlier that said that as his boss, even saying, do I look like a stud is inappropriate. I agree. If these text messages are real, and I have to say if, y'all, because I have to say allegedly, right? If these text messages are real, Tyler Perry was inappropriate, okay? He was inappropriate. Some of those conversations were inappropriate to have with somebody that you're employed by, that you employ, period. Full stop. Period. Full stop. Some of those text messages, if they are real, are inappropriate. Even if they mean well. Like, for example, the one where he was saying that, you shouldn't, you should be able to live your, I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact quote, but you should be able to live your life without having church guilt. And you need to talk to your therapist about that. What that says to me, and this is where I would be interested in, I need the whole text thread, because it sounds like the two of them had conversation about Derek's sexuality and him not being comfortable in his sexuality because of church guilt, because of what he was taught, because of how he was raised. And it sounds like Tyler Perry is telling him, listen, you need to talk to your therapist about that. You should be able to live your life. You should be able to enjoy your life to the fullest without having to feel any of that guilt. Now, could those text messages that he quotes in that lawsuit exist outside of that lawsuit? Like they did, could it be that they didn't include the most damning of the text messages in that lawsuit to keep as a whole card in their back pocket to negotiate? Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. They could have absolutely kept some of those things, right? The thread about his reaction to the testosterone was inappropriate. Absolutely, it was. It was. So that's what I'm saying. I can accept that, Tyler, you crossed lines with this person as an employee. I can accept that. And the whole time that I was reading this, because y'all know I try to be fair. So the whole time that I was reading this, what I kept asking myself was, if this were a woman accusing a man, what would my thought be, right? If this were a woman accusing a man, what would my thought be? It's going to be his word against his. Just like when it's a man and a woman, it's his word against hers. So it's all about who you choose to believe when it comes to what actually happened at the house, right? And the same way some of us would, but the same way some of us wouldn't question a woman for constantly putting herself into these situations. I'm not, we could easily be like, why did he keep going back? Why did he keep going over there? We do the same thing, right? But what I am going to say is this. If you don't really have those text messages that you claim to have, where he's very specific in saying, I'm sorry I assaulted you, I'm blah, 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 like that, what you said, he said. If those text messages don't really exist, baby, Tyler Perry and his $1 billion attorneys are going to eat you up. The same way Jay-Z's attorneys ate up Busby, baby, Tyler Perry's attorneys are about to tap dance on your head. And that doesn't mean that I'm not saying whether I think Tyler Perry is guilty or innocent. What I'm saying is, if you do not have that smoking gun that you claim you have, because in my opinion, these text messages, they do show an inappropriate conversation. And yes, therefore you could prove the sexual harassment part of this. In my opinion, didn't go to nobody's law school, but in my opinion, maybe there's some sexual harassment there based on what the law is in the state of California. But it's the assault part that you're saying that these text messages prove the assault part of it. If you don't have those smoking gun text messages, Tyler Perry's $1 billion attorneys are going to tap dance on your head. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just telling you what I think going to happen. Because all Tyler Perry has to do when it comes to the pilot of this show, all Tyler Perry has to be able to, well, I shouldn't say all, in my opinion, he going to have to show where he did try to sell your pilot, an email to an executive. All he has to do is show proof of these contracts where he couldn't sell your pilot before a certain date. We know that if your show is something like Schitt's Creek or something like that, BET is not the audience for your show, right? We know that he went on to have a contract with Amazon and with Netflix. He's streaming on Netflix right now. So we know when he said, hey, let me try to sell it to Netflix, let me try to sell it to Amazon. He does have a relationship with Netflix and Amazon. And as far as you saying, well, I never got anything from Netflix, nobody from Netflix reached out to me. You sold it to Tyler Perry. Why would they reach out to you? You're no longer the owner. You're not who they're dealing with. They're dealing with Tyler Perry. So why would they reach out to you and say, we like it, we don't like it? Y'all, the chat is not moving. So if y'all are talking, I'm not ignoring you. The chat's not moving. But I see that I'm glitching again, child. So if y'all are not talking, that's fine. But if y'all are talking, I just don't want y'all to think I'm ignoring you because the chat ain't moving. So yeah. That's what... I think the quid pro quo part will be the hardest to prove, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, if Tyler Perry can show where he did try to sell that pilot, where he did work in good faith, it sounds like they shot the pilot, which means that, and again, like Xavier said, most of the time they shoot the pilot and they wait to sell the pilot before they shoot anything else. Don't nobody shoot a whole season of a show that they haven't sold yet. I doubt Tyler fully owns it, but they still wouldn't reach out to him. Right. I mean, Tyler, I don't know what the contract is, but it seemed to me like they would reach out to the person that they're working with that they think has ownership, or at least majority ownership. I'm sure that whatever contract he made with Tyler Perry, there's a percentage, that he's going to make a percentage of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that wouldn't be stupid for him not to keep a percentage of the royalties. You know what I'm saying? As Tyler Perry, wait a minute. Are you saying has Tyler Perry people said anything? I mean, his lawyer produced a statement that basically, we read the statement earlier. Hold on, let me see here. Hold on. Let me go back to TMZ. Because there was the statement was made. Basically, you know what they said. They said that none of it is true, that he's just shaking them down. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, here it is right here. Hold on, y'all. It says, Tyler's attorney, Matthew Boyd, tells us this is an individual who got close to Tyler Perry for what now appears to be nothing more than setting up a scam. But Tyler will not be shaken down, and we are confident these fabricated claims of harassment will fail. And let me say this. Thank you, y'all. And let me say this. It's the same thing we said when we read through the Cassie case. Remember, we said the same thing. We were like, well, she keeps saying that this happened, and that happened. And she, everything was not in the lawsuit, but we found out later that she did have other evidence that supported some of what she was saying that was not in the lawsuit. So do I think, and this is the same thing I said about other lawsuits we've read, you guys, when they put it in there, do I think that other text messages exist that we're not seeing? I do. But that's all I'm saying is he better hope they do. Because again, just like with Jay-Z, he's got the money to play this game. Tyler Perry has the money to fight this. And honestly, that ain't even gonna skim off of, he ain't even gonna miss that money. He can afford to spend $1 million to defend this lawsuit. Whether he's guilty or not, I'm not saying he is or isn't. But Tyler Perry can afford to spend $2 or $3 million on this. Same thing with Jay-Z. Jay-Z was like, listen, I'm going to fight this. I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it to the end. To the point where he is now suing Tony Busby for defamation. A real question is, was he fine with the language when they were cool? Well, again, honestly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether he was okay with it in a case where Tyler Perry was his boss. It's just like a woman who works for a man and he makes comments about her and she laughs it off, or she's cool with it until she's not cool with it. It still doesn't matter. If he's in a position of power, he's wrong for saying it. It doesn't matter whether the person's okay with it or not. And I understand what you're asking, and I understand why you're asking. But at the end of the day, sexual harassment is sexual harassment. He may be trying to follow Regal Melody said he might be trying to follow the Christian Keys formula. Because the Christian Keys formula was to shut up. If Christian Keys was talking about Tyler Perry, Christian Keys formula was to come down to the internet, give y'all just enough, give us just enough to run with it, to create enough commotion. Y'all notice Christian Keys shut up. And now he's got this job with Tyler Perry on a show that he claims he created. Didn't he say he created the Queens, what's the show with Eva? What's that show? The Queens. I keep wanting to say the Queen's Court, and I know it's not the Queen's Court. All the Queen's Men. So he claims he created that. Didn't Christian Keys say he was one of the creators of All the Queen's Men? So the Christian Keys formula would have been throw out an innuendo and then get paid on the back end. If we believe that Christian Keys was talking about Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry paid him off. He wrote the book that became the TV show. Okay. He wrote the book. So, yeah, I mean, after listening to your perspective and with your educational background, I honestly don't believe the full extent of the story. I originally did when thinking about this logically. The main character. Thank you, the main character. Yeah, I mean, honestly, y'all, I'm just giving y'all both sides of it. I ain't about to tell y'all how I really feel. I know I clowned when I was reading it. I was clowning when I was reading it. But again, if we're being honest, if we're being fair and we're being honest, I didn't go to nobody's law school. But just sitting through them stupid videos we got to watch at the beginning of the school year every year, it sounds to me like there was some sexual harassment. But I don't know about the other stuff because I won't there. A lot of things don't make sense, and there are a lot of missing parts, as you said. I think this was just enough for him to get the word out to make Tyler settle. I think so too. Now, again, do I think that he just wants to settle this? Sure. And do I think that he thinks it's going to be a quick payday? Maybe. If those text messages, let me tell you something. And I know I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but I just got to keep saying it. If those text messages do exist that he keeps saying that exist, Tyler might want to cut the check. If he has text messages that say, I'm sorry about last night, I apologize about last night, I got drunk, my behavior was unacceptable. Like if he has text messages that are that specific, Tyler might want to cut the check. Do I think that the two of them had conversations about sex and sexuality? I do. Do I think that Tyler maybe found him attractive? If we going down that road, and maybe made some comments about him being cute and being thick and sure. I think it could be possible. I mean, if he has a text message where Tyler Perry took pictures of his butt and sent it to him, that is sexual harassment. Ain't no way around that. If your boss took a picture of your butt and sent it to you talking about you wearing them jeans, or you thick, or whatever the comments were, that is harassment. There were a couple of text messages that he claimed he had when I was reading through that child. Regal, I don't even know how, baby. That was 40-something pages. I can't go back to all of it. But I know that was one of them that he said he had. One of the messages that he said he had was when Tyler took pictures of his butt and sent it to him. Another message he said was after the alleged assault in, I don't even remember where it was, in Atlanta or Wyoming. I don't remember. Where he said the next day Tyler was apologized and basically acknowledged that, what he did was unacceptable, so, very specific. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Lord. All right, y'all. I had the energy to read through the Kanye West lawsuit today. But I listened to it. Y'all go over to Don Juan. Lord, I said Don Juan, child. I said Don Juan. Chef Don Don. Chef Don Don did a video this morning going over the Kanye West lawsuit. But all I'm going to say is this. The lady, one of his former employees who is Jewish is suing him. And she has text messages of him making the same anti-Semitic comments that we hear him make all the time. In my opinion, I feel like any Jewish person that works for him should be suing him. I know if I was Jewish and I worked for Kanye, I'd be suing him. To me, that's a slam dunk. That's a slam dunk lawsuit right there. If I work for Kanye West in any capacity, I don't give a damn if I was on the assembly line of where they make his shoes. If I work for Kanye West in any capacity and I was Jewish, I would be suing his ass. And I mean that. Because there's no way around that. The types of things that man has said about Jewish people. Imagine if that was a white man that was publicly saying that about black people. Baby, every black person that worked for him would be so. I know I would be. Child. But anyway, there it is right there. Thank you, Xavier. That's Chef Don Don's live from earlier. He did it early this morning. When I was on my way to work, he was live like 6 o'clock this morning. So if y'all want to hear the whole breakdown of the lawsuit, Chef Don Don has it. If we have time this week, I might get into it. But baby, yeah, I have a lot to do before I get on that plane on Monday. I got to finish washing clothes. I have to pack. Tomorrow is my last day at work, even though Friday was supposed to be my last day. But tomorrow's my last day at work because I told y'all I have a funeral to go to, excuse me, I'm so used to saying it wrong, a funeral to go to on Friday. So I'm not going to work on Friday. And tomorrow I have a lot to do. So, and I got to get my hair done. I had a lot to do. So I can't promise I'm going to get to the Kanye West lawsuit, child. But where am I going? I'm going to Disney. So the rest of this week is going to be tight, y'all. Because tonight we were supposed to do a review, but then the Tyler Perry thing popped off. So y'all will get Miami tomorrow night. You'll get the panel on Thursday night. And like I said, everything else might just have to be an upload. Divorced Sisters might just have to be an upload. The Next Generation NYC might just have to be an upload. And Beyond the Gates, I may just have to do 2 weeks this weekend instead of trying to get Beyond the Gates. I may just have to do 2 weeks. So it's a lot going on. But I'm gonna try to get everything to y'all before I get out of here on Monday. Yes, I'm getting my braids. Done on Thursday. So that's the other thing. When I get off work tomorrow, I gotta wash my hair and stuff. And then I need to run. I got to take something over to my parents' house. Yeah, I just got a full schedule. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna see my parents on Friday. So no, I don't. Anyway, I got a full schedule. So anyway, let me get up off of here, y'all. I will talk to y'all later. Mwah. Thank y'all for being here. Peace.